Sorry, guys. Welcome back to the Street News Network. We will be going over some clips today about the governor debate, Katie Porter and her disastrous interview, the Antifa roundtable. We'll watch a few clips from that. We'll look at the Porter bill, HB 113, and then we'll get into a few clips from Donald Trump and how we're going to probably have new tariffs on China, and a little bit about the peace deal that's going on in Gaza between Israel. So I appreciate you guys all coming in, and we will get into that in a few seconds here. So I hope you all enjoy.
Is about the temperature and tone of political speech. The first example has been shaping the race for governor and attorney general for the past week. You both will have a chance for rebuttal. Democratic Attorney General nominee Jay Jones admits he sent text messages to a colleague referencing former Republican House Speaker Todd Gilbert. Here's what he wrote.
Jones. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Colleague. Jay, please stop. Jones. LOL, okay. I mean, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. Colleague. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Jones. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy.
Jay Jones has apologized and says.
So the question they're asking right there is about the person running for the attorney general in Virginia, mainly on the Democrat side. He did come out with posts stating that he would want to murder his political enemy along with his children. And in the debate, they're asking the 2 candidates what they feel about it. And this is what the Democrat candidate had to say about it.
He takes full responsibility for those messages. Ms. Spamberger, you have called the comments disgusting and said you condemn violence. The question for you tonight is, were you aware of these messages before they were released publicly? And will you continue to endorse Jay Jones as the next Attorney General of Virginia? You have 60 seconds.
The comments that Jay Jones made are absolutely abhorrent. I denounced them when I learned of them, and I will denounce them every opportunity I get. As a mother, as a public servant, as a candidate for governor, I denounce them. And it is important that candidates always denounce violence on no matter which side of the aisle. Violence, violent rhetoric, we should always be focused and forceful in our denouncement of it.
So throughout the debate, which I did watch, I can't show it all because YouTube will take it down. But throughout the entire debate, they would ask the white lady a question, and she wouldn't even answer the question, and then they would have to repeat the question and then give her more time to answer the question. It didn't really make sense to why she couldn't just straight up have a general answer to a question.
And importantly, my opponent, unfortunately, only denounces violence when her side is the target. I hope
like that,
into
Abigail.
the future, she will endeavor to denounce violent rhetoric and violence no matter who the victim. And tonight, Lieutenant Governor Earl Sears, I will say, you routinely referred to me as your enemy.
Just please give her a chance to
You routinely
respond.
refer to me as your enemy. I'm not your enemy. You are not my enemy. We are political opponents.
As you saw right there, Miss Spears, the black lady in red right here, the Republican, throughout the entire debate, I will say she interrupted way too much and wouldn't let the lady speak. But I do see why she was interrupting, because they would ask her like a general question and then she would just dodge it by going on some word salad. And the Virginia lady, she was not going for it.
And tonight, voters are here to listen to the policy differences that we have. So as we move forward, we must continue to set a good example for all of our children.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. I didn't hear an answer there on the endorsement issue, so I want to just make sure.
She didn't give an answer.
Will you continue to endorse Jay
really
Jones
yes or no.
to be the next Attorney General of Virginia? And were you aware of these text messages before they released? You have 30 seconds.
In fact, it appears that it was those who released the text messages and held them for years. So the public was unaware who had knowledge of these text messages for many years.
What did you do about it?
I learned of these text messages.
See what I'm saying? That she keeps interrupting, but the moderator asked her a specific question. She said, "Did you know about the text messages before they were released? And will you drop your endorsement?" But Ms. Spanberger will not answer the question. It's like, please answer the question. He said he wanted to commit violence towards another political opponent. Do you disregard that endorsement? And did you know about the text messages before? She wouldn't answer.
The day that they came out, and I denounced them as soon as I learned of them.
She denounces murder.
And importantly, at this point, as we move forward, the voters now have this information that was withheld for them.
You're running to
presumably for political reasons. But the voters now have the information, and it is up to voters to make an individual choice based on this information.
Ms. Spanberger, I understand what you're saying about the voters, but for you yourself, do you still continue to endorse Jay Jones? 15 seconds, yes or no?
We are all running our individual.
Guys, that's the third time. Just to clarify, that's the third time they asked her the same question. And I do appreciate the moderator for not just letting it go and be like, okay, on to the next person like they normally do. Why can't she just come out and say, I disavow political violence. I do not give him an endorsement. What she was saying throughout the interview was basically saying, well, I'm running for myself and he has his own thing he has to run for. So I'm just going to focus on myself. But it's like, excuse me, you're the governor. You're running to be the governor. So you're telling me you're going to allow your attorney general who could possibly be elected to say things like that? Like, no, that's absolutely ridiculous. Because if a policy needed to be had and he's upset, is he gonna murder someone and cover it up under the law? I don't know. We don't know what he's capable of. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Races. I believe my opponent has said that about her lieutenant governor nominee.
Ms. Earl Sayers,
and it's up to every person to make their own decision. I am running my race to serve Virginia, and that is what I intend to do.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. We just want to clarify, what you're saying is that as of now.
Again, 4 times. That's the 4th time. She's not clarifying. She won't give a direct answer to how she feels about it because she knows that the people in the Democrat Party will come after her and she's going to have a very, very hard time. And she might not even get elected if she comes out and says, oh, I disavow his statements. How is that okay? What is going on in this nation in terms of political violence and just not being able to say, hey, this is not okay. This isn't okay. I'm going to distance myself from this person because I don't feel that way. If you guys want to vote for him, that's on you, but I'm not going to go for that. But instead, they turn it and try and say, well, Donald Trump was doing this, Donald Trump was doing that. And in this debate right now, which I'm not going to show you many clips because I really don't want it to get copyrighted. But in the debate, they were talking about the words Donald Trump said at the Charlie Kirk Memorial about how he doesn't really wish the best for his enemies and that his political opponents are enemies. And Spanberger, she said that rhetoric is violent. You don't have to like someone. You can even hate someone all you want. But if you're not calling for their like explicit murder and other, like, you can't say like that's violent rhetoric because Donald Trump says, yeah, I don't like my political opponents. I view them as enemies because they view him as an enemy. So why is it not okay for him to say that back? But for this lady to sit here and not disavow what Jay Jones said because this other lady will not disavow Donald Trump's words at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, that's just cop out. That's cop out because one was calling for true, real violence. It really is.
You still endorse Jay Jones as Attorney General?
I'm saying as of now, it's up to every voter to make their own individual decision. I am running for governor. I am accountable for the words that I say, for the acts that I take, for the policies that I have put out.
Thank you.
I am responsible for the policies I put out and the work I will endeavor to.
The thing I don't like about that is, although she's saying that, she is responsible for the individuals in her administration, which he would be in her administration. She's responsible for the things they do and say. Because if something happens and he does something bad, it's going to come back to her to make a decision of what is going to happen. So to sit here and say, I'm just worried about my own policies and this and that, how can you? So what if she makes a policy about law? How can she trust that he's going to necessarily follow that? Especially if she's saying she condemns political violence, but he wants it. He said it in his own text. He could sit here and say, I'm sorry to the world, but we all know it's political theater. He wouldn't have been sorry if the text messages didn't come out. That's a fact. So to sit here and act like, oh, it's up to the voters. No, it's not up to the voters. He's going to work for you. You want him to work for you? If the voters say yes, they want him to work for you, you want that? If the voters say they want someone who wants political violence, you're going to just accept it because of the voters? No, he doesn't get to work for me. He doesn't get to work for me. Simple. Left, right, up, down, middle, I don't care who it is. We don't need more political violence in this country. This year alone, it's just been out of control.
To do tirelessly
for
the people
as governor
of Virginia.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. Ms. Earl Sears, before we get to rebuttals, because we will get to rebuttals, we have a question for you. While there is no equivalency, this next example does speak to the divided nature of our country. During the Charlie Kirk Memorial, President Trump said, quote, I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them. Is there a place for that kind of political speech? You have 60 seconds.
Well, I think as everybody knows, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian before.
I'm going to answer that first. So he said, I hate my political opponents and I don't want the best for them. Well, one, they don't want the best for him. So that's not an unknown fact. The Democrats really don't want the best for Donald Trump. That's just true. If Donald Trump were to somehow die tomorrow or today, they would sit there and act sad about it, but they would actually be happy so they can try and go appease their political agenda. So that's just true. So to say that when he says it back to them, when they obviously every single mainstream media from MSNBC, CNN, ABC have all shown they don't like him, and any story that can put a bad light against him and make him not be great or do great, they will do. So for him to say that back, I can't sit here and say that that's wrong. Sorry. I can't sit here and say that that's wrong or violent. It's not. So let's see what the governor has to say about it.
I'm a Republican and I'm required to forgive people. And it's hard sometimes when somebody has abused you, etc. But it's something you must do, because not to forgive is almost like, as someone said, you drink poison thinking that it's going to affect the other person. And I want to live a decent life, and I don't want to not have peace in my life. And so as I've said before, I would not say that. So that's why I'm wondering why my opponent won't say, beyond it's abhorrent and disgusting, why she won't say it is not okay and that he must leave the race, because Jay Jones advocated the murder, Abigail, the murder of a man, a former speaker as well as his children who were 2 and 5 years old. You have little girls. What would it take him pull?
So what I was upset about is because although I just felt this debate was more like a question and answer situation because Miss Spears here in the red would ask her a question like she's doing right now, staring at her. Miss Spanberger would just sit there and act like she can't even hear what she says. My thing is, I thought this was supposed to be a debate. We put our ideas in the marketplace and then we determine, well, the people will determine who they like the ideas. But they need to have a back and forth conversation. It just felt like more of a question and answer situation where one person wasn't even answering questions. They were just doing political spin and word salad. And she sounded like a robot through the entire debate. It's like she knew the questions that were going to be asked and just decided to spin them. And when I showed you the clips earlier, they would just say like, okay, I get that, but you didn't answer the question another 15 seconds. But it's just, and then she still wouldn't answer.
Pulling the trigger, is that what would do it? And then you would say he needs to get out of the race? Abigail, you have nothing to say? Abigail, what if he said it about your 3 children? Is that when you would say he should get out of the race, Abigail?
But no, that's a good question. Imagine they were on the other side or whatever, and someone said that they believed her children should die and she should die. And if they were 4 people or whatever in the room, she should get all the bullets instead of anyone else. And hi, Cat73, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining the stream. I love when anyone joins and comments. I'll always look at your comment and say hi as long as I have the time. Appreciate you coming in. But my thing is she's asking her a direct question here. Like, what if that was your children? And she also asked the question was, does it take for them to go pull the trigger before we disavow it? Shouldn't we just stop it there? Like, shouldn't we just stop it there? I think so. And I'm doing good today. It's like super cloudy, kind of gloomy out, but feels really good. I live in Arizona, so usually it's super hot, but I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. But that's a good question. We all have to think about the look that she won't even look her in the eye, or just look the American people who she's going to govern in the eye and say, yeah, I actually do disavow this, and I don't think he should run. He's going to be the top cop in the country. I just hope everyone realizes that. Attorney General said he wants to kill his political opponents. That's never okay. Like, I don't know. I just don't know where that's okay. He will be the top prosecutor. He will make a lot of legal decisions. And then the question begs to be asked, if some crazy radical decides to go out and kill the person he was talking about, and he was attorney general, would he prosecute it like fairly, open, and a good investigation, or would he just let it go because he wants the person to be dead? He said it with his own words. He even apologized for it. So what makes it true, and he's acknowledging it. How is he fit to run?
You're running to be governor.
Mr. Earl Sears, I know you're saying that you would not personally say this, but do you think still that there is that place for that kind of rhetoric, the example that we gave, even coming from others? You have 30 seconds.
So I'm responsible for my behavior and what I've said. I've just said I wouldn't say that. I would not speak that way. Look, I'm from a third world country. I was born in Jamaica. And when I was 10 years old, I saw that kind of political violence, which is why I'm asking my opponent to please ask him to get out of the race, have some political courage. What you have done is you are taking political calculations about your future as governor. Well, as governor, you have to make hard choices, and that means telling Jay Jones to leave the race. I have seen what it means when people are shot in the streets and thrown in the back of cars just for political purposes. I don't want to see that in America. America must never be that place, and Abigail needs to say something.
Yeah, there's no place for that in America. And the reason why she's not outright coming out and saying, I want him to drop out, is because there's only 2 left right now. And they've already started voting. So if she comes out and says, I disavow this, then there's only one more choice left in the race, and that would be a Republican. So if you guys are wondering why she's just keeping her mouth shut and saying she's just focused on her agenda, that's why. Because she knows if that guy, if Jay Jones drops out, the only one who's left is a Republican, and they don't want that. Because they're going to be really tough to get things passed and to get through legal troubles, especially when your attorney general is on the other side of the aisle. It's just not going to work out very well. And then I want to play this other clip. They're talking about transgender women in sports and other situations. So let's look.
We're going to start with you. Focusing on a K through 12 school system, should transgender girls who are biological males be allowed to use girls' bathrooms and play on girls' sports teams? You have 60 seconds.
I'm a mother of 3 daughters in Virginia public schools, and nothing is more important to me than their safety and their experience in schools. I'm also a former federal agent, and I work to investigate crimes against children. And so nothing is more important to me than the safety of all of our children. And that work, in part, has earned me the endorsement of Virginia's Police Benevolent Association.
Tell Steve
Ms. Earl Sears,
importantly,
I told you she keeps interrupting.
on issues related to what's happening in our schools in each individual community, I think it's important that we have parents and teachers and administrators making decisions about their individual schools, not politicians. And if we are talking about the safety of our...
Do you guys see how she won't answer a direct question? Like she's skirting and skirting. She won't answer anything direct. So that's what makes me believe that they gave them these questions ahead of time, and her PR team wrote these answers to try and skirt her from saying anything that would make a voter not want to vote for her. Simple as that. That's what I'm seeing out of this. It was just a bunch of political theater.
Our children, I would ask why my opponent continues to support efforts to defund public safety, an effort carried on continually by this administration.
Once again, the question was...
I don't really care for any question she has to ask her opponent when she won't even look her opponent in the eye when she's asking a question, nor will she look her opponent in the eye when she's getting asked a question back. You have no right to ask someone a question if you can't even sit there and answer theirs. You're just going to stare straight like a robot, and then pretend she's sitting there pretending to write down stuff on her notepad. Like, it's like, honey, you're not even gonna answer the question. Why are you writing it down for? You're just looking stupid. DBA Autumn Coleman said, get them their own if they want equal right. and not invade others only when it does not injure others is right. Can you expand on that a little bit so I can answer it properly? Are you saying get them their own? Are you saying get them their own section of sports if they want equal rights? I'll put it on the screen so people can see. Or are you saying, yeah, I can only really understand your first part of that. I'm not trying to be mean.
Should transgender girls who are biological males be allowed to use girls' bathrooms and play on girls' sports teams in K through 12? You have 15 seconds to clarify.
In cases across Virginia, I think it's incumbent upon parents and educators and administrators in each local community to make decisions locally.
That's what this is about.
Ms. Earl Sears?
There should never be
We're gonna get
nude
to you in a
men
moment.
in
Oh my
locker
goodness,
rooms.
we finally have her saying that, but you voted for that.
I mean, she said that, but what does that mean exactly? Are you saying there should be no biological men nude in bathrooms? Which for me, that includes transgender men who went to women. I still don't think they should be in the bathrooms with them. I mean, especially because a lot of them haven't had up, bottom, and top surgery, and I don't think they should under 18, which gives me even more reason to say they shouldn't be in the same bathroom together or on the same sports field or anything, because there are differences between men and women, and we're not going to keep sitting here acting like there's not so we can make people feel better. It just doesn't make sense. So what I still don't get what she meant by that.
Ms. Earl
Have you
Sears.
finally
opponent
Ms. Earl
said
Sears,
that
you are
now?
just
lying.
intruding on
Are we
time
in
here. We're
agreement
trying.
now? Are you
Ms.
going
Earl
to
Sears,
tell?
this is Ms. Spanberger's time. I have a follow-up question for Ms. Spanberger. Would you rescind the Youngkin administration policy requiring boys and girls to use bathrooms aligning with their biological sex? You have 30 seconds.
Let's see if
My
she
priority
answers.
would be to ensure that local communities, importantly parents and teachers
That's
and
a yes or
educators,
no.
are able to work together to meet the unique needs of each school and each community.
But girls
and
need
that is
privacy.
important. And I say that as a mother.
What does she mean by the unique needs? The needs aren't unique. Little girls deserve Title IX and free fairness to have privacy and to have fairness in their sports. It's that simple. What do you mean by the unique needs? Why is it not a crime? War powers masquerading matter of rights and dismantees of trust beneficiaries. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what she means by that answer. Do you see what I keep saying? She's skirting answers. Am I not making it up in my head right now? The moderator said, "Are you going to rescind the ban?" She goes, "I'm going to look at the unique blah, 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 blah." No, lady, are you going to rescind the ban or not? So if you're going to look at unique situations, that's a yes. Then just say yes, but I'm going to look at unique situations and realize where things need to be done. But she can't say that. Her party won't let her say that. She'll be called a transphobe, a bigot, this, that, a hater of women, and she doesn't like women's rights because she doesn't want men playing with women in sports. Like, come on. These people she's skirting the question. They have to ask her each question 2 times over and then give her more time to clarify. Like, no, don't give her any more time. Let her have her word salad like Kamala did during the presidential race. Let her have the word salad because afterwards it looks really dumb. They're asking you on specific policy and you're just, I'm going to look at each unique situation where there's already a ban on it. So to do that, you would have to rescind the ban, right? Am I just making that up? In order to you look at each unique situation, she would have to rescind that ban and then do that. There's no reason to look at unique situations if there's just a flat out ban. So just be honest for once.
of 3 daughters in Virginia public schools.
Exactly.
And as someone
agree,
who
Kat. She's
used to investigate crimes against
completely
children, the way
skirty.
that we keep our children safe is by ensuring they are safe in schools, which includes funding law enforcement and public safety.
But Ms. Spanberger, the question was, would you rescind the Youngkin administration policy?
Okay, we're not making it up. Every single question she's been asked, they've had to ask her 2 to 4 times because she's not clarifying, and then they give her more time. It's clear she doesn't want to answer. They're literally trying to give her the benefit of the doubt and be like, we just don't understand, because she's not giving an answer. You are going to be the governor of a state. You need to be strong. You need to be able to answer a damn question. I don't want your word salad. I want a yes or no to this type of question.
Requiring boys and girls to use bathrooms aligning with their biological sex. You have 15 seconds to clarify that question.
Yes.
And my answer is that in each local community, decisions should be made between parents and educators and teachers in each community. It shouldn't be dictated by politicians.
So this one is cool. You basically connect your Shopify account and it's able to pull in your product catalog. And then from there,
please don't interrupt.
We're going to watch a little more.
We'll, you next.
Okay.
But I have a bunch
Thank you,
more
Ms.
stories
Spanberger. Ms. Earl Sears, you say that you do not support biological males identifying as females, playing in girls' sports, and have pledged to sign legislation restricting bathrooms by birth sex. Does this position discriminate against transgender girls? You have 60 seconds.
I'm not for discriminating against anyone. What I'm saying is just very plain common sense. And I'm going to answer the question my opponent refused to answer, which is simply this. I will not rescind the governor's executive order. We know that girls want to have privacy. It's really that simple.
Like, I don't agree with the way this lady was interrupting throughout the entire debate, but like, can we at least give her a bit of credit right now and say, like, she answered the question? No, I will not rescind the ban. The other lady saying, we're going to look at unique situations and blah, 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 blah. Really? We're all adults here on this channel, so we're not going to sit here and act like we can't see with our eyes and ears, see and hear what that lady's saying. One person saying, no, I will not. The other person saying, I'm going to look at unique situations. And like I just said before, you can't look at unique situations if there's a total ban. So she needs to come out and say, yes, I will rescind the ban and look at unique situations. But that's not what she's saying. We want to know these answers before we elect you. And the fact that they're doing this debate so close to the voting is completely annoying. Or at least I don't know exactly when the voting day is. But we will find out in 2 seconds. Okay, so it's actually not very close, but they said this is going to be the only debate, which is really dumb. It was only 40 minutes long. You only get 40 minutes of your politician to decide if they're going to run your state. Wow. Wow. There should be a debate every single month until they get elected. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, really? Just like we only had 2 presidential debates, one with Joe Biden and one Kamala. Like, really? There should be a debate for each policy they want to enact and change and do. There should be a debate for. They don't get to hide anymore. I don't know why we let our politicians hide. They hide behind spin and word salad in the media instead of coming out with their own voice and saying what they want to do and what they're going to do to help people. Even if the other side disagrees, we shouldn't only get one debate. I would be upset if I lived in Virginia. And my state right here is not any better. I did not see any debates between the new person that got elected when I think it was either a Senate or Congress member died. My state did no debates. All they did was throw out hit ads, slandering the other person, saying, I'm going to do this. Most of the Democrat voters said they were just going to go after Trump. I live in a very left district. It was my district. That's why the Democrat got elected. But they didn't come out on any debate for any policies they were going to go after. Nothing. All they did was put hit ads out on TV. I didn't even know who the candidates were. I looked it up probably 6 months prior, and they didn't even have like a bio of the candidates, nothing. It's just all of a sudden I started seeing hit pieces and ads of people I didn't even fucking know. And yeah, I'm pissed off about it because I didn't even know who these people were.
And my opponent will not answer the question because she voted for men nude in girls' locker rooms, in bathrooms, and in girls' sports. She will refuse to protect our girls in Title IX, which is simply, an opportunity for girls to have their safe space. This is not hard. Are you going to change in a gym where men are nude in the locker rooms? Are you going to do that, Abigail?
Ms. Earl Sears.
I don't think you will. What about your girl children if they came home crying?
You see how she doesn't even look her in the eye, but Kat says, sorry, I have to go. My phone needs to be charged. Hope to catch you again. Have a good night. I hope you come through again too. Thank you for coming in for the time you did. I always appreciate you. I hope you have a good night. Get your phone charged. But you guys see how she's sitting. Look at her. She's writing. She's looking her in the eye. She's just sitting here writing. What are you writing down? Exactly. Because you're not answering the question she just asked you. So what are you writing down? Like literally, what are you writing down? But I'm going to leave that debate there. Don't want to get copyrighted. We are going to talk about another governor candidate. Now we're going to go all the way to California. Honestly, I think this lady's worse. Like, if I'm being honest with you, I wholeheartedly believe this lady, Katie Porter, is a lot worse. Just by her smugness, her anger issues, her inability to sit there and answer more direct questions, especially under pressure. I don't like it. It's a little weird. So we're going to watch this and see.
To say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%? Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But
so you don't
I feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And
for me, I find it smug because she's saying, I don't need you to win. Well, you also represent them. So are you telling me that those 40% of voters, you don't even care about their thought? You don't care about what they want to be enacted? You work for them. They don't work for you. They don't go to work every day, pay taxes, pay into the crazy high gas prices over there in California. The crime, the fires that just happened, all the people that lost their homes, were none of them Trump supporters? Like, come on, lady. You're supposed to be the governor. Unite your people and say, you know what? I'm going to try and get as many votes as I can. I'm going to try and flip some of these Republicans over to Democrats, or just flip them on my side strictly for me in my election. But no, she literally, her first answer was to laugh, be smug, and stare at the camera and say, why would I need them? Wow. That's all. Wow. But I mean, they vote for Gavin Newsom, so obviously the California voting, they don't care. As long as they're against Trump and this administration, they don't care. But you will see that actually they did care about this. After I go through this, I'm going to show you the polls and how she just tanked herself. She literally tanked herself in one day.
We've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that.
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you.
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
Now she doesn't want to. Now she wants to end the interview.
Do the interview with us.
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has.
I don't care.
Questions.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there. I don't want to.
Why can't they ask a follow-up question? She's an investigative journalist. You think she should just take your answer at face value and not hear something and be like, well, I kind of want to have more clarification on this. Maybe the people want more clarification because you haven't explained why you don't need these voters. Because she asked you a really specific question. What if you end up running against a Democrat and a Democrat? Now you guys are both fighting for this one specific demographic of people. And now there's 40% of other people you could get. But you said you don't need their votes. And that's why she tanked. That right there. Because it's California. It will be a Democrat versus a Democrat. It's simple.
I have an unhappy experience with you. And I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either. I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about. And redistricting, it's a massive issue. We're going to do an entire story just on the responses to that question. And I've asked everybody the same follow-up questions.
And she did.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet.
And we're going to keep diving into the unhingedness of this new. She's probably going to be the governor. Let's just be real. She was up, but we'll look at the poll right now and see if that matters. But she was up in the polling until she decided to go on an interview and just completely tank her political career. Because she can't answer a direct question.
Making history because she has potentially annihilated her chances to be the next governor of California, more so than any other candidate I've ever seen so quickly. My goodness gracious, what are we talking about right here? Well, let's take a look. Chance to be the next California governor. According to the Kalshi prediction market, Katie Porter's chances have fallen through the floor. Just 2 days ago, she was the plurality leader in the prediction markets at 40%. Now, get this, her chance has fallen by more than half to just 16%. My goodness gracious. Meanwhile, Alex Padilla, who's not even running for governor of California at this point, he's a sitting senator from that state, his chances have gone up through the roof from 10% all the way to 27%, nearly gone up threefold. Now, one of the big reasons why the prediction markets have moved so much on Katie Porter's chances to be the next governor of California is because people are really interested in this story. Take a look here. Google searches for Katie Porter at an all-time high, despite Katie Porter having a long political career. Get this, up over 10,000% versus just a week ago, and not so surprising.
That's not because of just this story that I was showing you with the interview. Like, her unhingedness goes further than that, guys. There's divorce records of her with her husband saying that she poured a very hot bowl or whatever bowl pot of mashed potatoes on his head. On his head.
The top topic searched alongside Katie Porter at this point. Interview. It turns out maybe you shouldn't snap at a local political reporter.
Yeah, I think that comes.
So I'll show you another little article right here of her just snapping. Like she likes to snap on people, guys. Let's look at her snapping on her what do they call it? Advisor or staff member? Like, wow. Staffer. Yeah, a staffer. Let's see.
Vehicle saving us money.
Perfect.
And the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't make the commitments under the.
That's what I'm saying. She could have at least followed Medea and did grits in a pot.
You also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot.
I'm just playing. No, don't do that.
I'm going to start again with electric vehicles saving us money.
Perfect.
Like, guys, that's who California wanted to be their governor. But it's like they didn't do this research before. There's divorce records. There's all this stuff is out. This stuff isn't just brand new in one day. This stuff has been out. That just shows people are uneducated. They won't go figure out who they're voting for. Like, I got into politics about end of 2023, and I only really was looking at Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. And when I went to the voting booth, that's all I voted on. I didn't go vote for other people I didn't know. But now this year, I'm doing more of my research. I'm going to start looking. But yeah, there's no reason to vote for that. That is just absolutely insane. Let me know in the comment section if you think that's insane. I think that's insane. Like, there's no reason for her to stay in office after that. Our next video, we're going to watch two reporters who are YouTubers. One's more of an investigative journalist. The other guy goes out and does street interviews. We're going to watch them talk about the Antifa roundtable, which just happened between Donald Trump and a lot of people were in that room that day. Again, I don't want to show the whole thing because I don't want to get copyrighted. And if I could, I would, and we'd just break it all down. But I'm going to show you these two clips.
I think the press is a big factor.
This one's James
please,
Klug.
Go ahead. Thank you, James.
Street interviewer.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us all here to bring attention to this matter. You did mention MSDNC, CNN, a handful of those other outlets that have been lying about, various things, but especially what ICE, the brave men and women over at ICE have been doing. I was talking to Antifa members in Portland the other day, and a lot of these people genuinely believe, they buy these lies, and they genuinely believe that they're fighting against literal Nazis and not brave men and women that are putting their lives on the line to basically enforce basic.
Sorry, I just want to pause this and put this on the screen because I absolutely, completely disagree with this statement. Rights are not inherent, and rights are granted by the government. Because rights are given by those who are in power and those who can enforce them. Yes, they should be inherent, but they're not. You can't go over to an Islamic country and say, I have a right as a woman to be able to walk the streets, go get education, walk without my hair covered, walk without my body covered, be able to do anything sexually. You can't do that. So they're not inherent. Rights are not inherent. They're given by who is in charge and willing to enforce them. That is just the simple truth. If you can't realize that, then you're in trouble and you're fighting for the wrong thing. They should be inherent, but they're not. If one group of power comes in, especially in a dictator, like a person who's a dictator, if he doesn't want you to have that right, you're not going to have it. Simple. You push for that right, you die. Go to a labor camp. They don't care. So to sit here and say that rights are inherent, that's not true. We have to be truthful here. Rights are given by those who are in power and those willing to enforce the law. Once the law gets passed, then we could call it inherent. But even then, if the person comes in power and wants to take it back, who you thought it was a right, aka Roe versus Wade, it's not a right. The person in power controls what rights are given. I don't know where people don't understand that.
Immigration law, right? That everyone seemed to agree with up until maybe a few years ago, a handful of years ago. So
nope, only now.
Once again, thank you so much for having me. My name is James Klug. While my primary job is traveling around the country, having conversations with Americans about various political topics and issues, I have had a lot of run-ins with Antifa over the last 5 years. And I do think that Antifa is a primary reason why many conservatives are afraid to go out and protest and make their voices heard and maybe bring friends and family to a demonstration and exercise their First Amendment right, because they are literally deathly afraid. And I talk to these people all the time. They're afraid of militants showing up in black bloc and hurting them and their families. And, I've personally witnessed Antifa assaulting hundreds of police officers. I've witnessed them firebombing police departments and federal property. I've witnessed them making death threats against federal agents, police officers, journalists. I think I've witnessed every single person here, maybe not personally, but I've seen them get, hunted down and attacked. And so this is a group that is responsible for a good percentage, if not a majority, of the violent riots in 2021 and 2020 when Democrat mayors had a kind of a hands-off approach with these left-wing militants. Just as a quick reminder for everybody, we're talking about dozens of murders that happened in those riots. We're talking about billions of dollars of damage to property and communities all over the country. We're talking about thousands of officer injuries. So this isn't just like some little thing that they're, oh, they punch a journalist here and there. No, they're responsible for a lot of damage and a lot of people that have unfortunately died and basically suppressing people's voices, And
that's my thing. Like, what do we say about this? So, I mean, maybe some of you guys feel the January 6 people shouldn't have been pardoned, but only about 1 or 2% of them were actually violent out of all the people who were there. A lot of them walked through. They weren't violent. But then, so the mainstream media doesn't like to talk about the George Floyd riots, a bunch of riots before, hands up, don't shoot, buildings being burned, police cars being burned, businesses having to go out of business and leave to another state. Is it not a big deal because it didn't happen on January 6th? Because we'll be honest, the Democrat, they didn't riot this year on January 6th, but they've been rioting every other day since. So does it only matter because it didn't happen on that specific day? Because the mainstream media will be so fast to just point out January 6th this. I just don't get it. One person died like at the scene. Another person had a heart attack afterwards. If you want to equate that to what happened, cool. Maybe I'll even accept that. But because of stress and it was a heart attack, and that could be a possibility. And I'm not going to sit here and say not, but he didn't die on that day. So why don't we equate the two and just say, boom, boom. All right, both. You guys did this. We did this. We need to stop. Simply just stop the violence. Let's start having more conversations again. But then when we have someone like Charlie Kirk, who was having conversations, they didn't like what he said and considered it violence, even though he wasn't committing violence towards anyone. Especially if you go look and actually listen to what he said, he was not calling for violence towards people. It's getting out of control in this country right now, and I'm done not talking about it. And if someone on the right comes out and says some crazy shit, I'm going to call them out too, especially on the left or in the center or any other little party in this country. I'm going to come at you because there's no reason for this. None.
So what I did want to talk about is to get this footage, almost every single person in the room here, to get this footage, you have to go undercover because you are at risk of being beaten or worse. You have to go undercover. You have to film low key to capture them committing crimes. This is stuff that the mainstream media was not doing and has not been doing. They'll show when Antifa is maybe, it's a little bit more peaceful, and they'll show when it's more mellow, but they'll remove the cameras when things get violent and it's actually dangerous to be here. And I have personally witnessed legacy media vans showing up at a riot 300 yards away, getting out of the vehicle, filming for 30 seconds, saying something like...
And if you don't believe him, go look at his channel. That's all I'm going to say. If you don't believe him, his name is James Klug. James, you should all know how to spell James. Klug is K-L-U-G. Go look at his channel. Go look at his street interviews. He's very cordial, very nice to people. He gives them a chance to speak. He'll give his opinion, and he'll also offer to give them a little bit of evidence for why he has his opinion. Please go watch. We were watching the other day. Maybe I'll show you guys a clip. These people don't care. They don't want to hear an opinion. They don't want to see the facts or the evidence. They consider it fake.
Fiery but mostly peaceful, packing up, and to add insult to injury, you have Democrat politicians that are saying it's just an idea, right? That's all this is. So it's just an idea. After all of this chaos,
Antifa is not just an idea. It's not just an idea. If you guys have ever seen the book, the Antifa handbook right here. I'm showing you. Why write a book just about a simple idea? Like, no, this is real. And this guy, Mark Bray, went online and said that it's okay for political violence and trying to to push for a better cause. He said that. Then the media took it off when it went viral about a week and a half ago. They went on their website and took the videos down. You can't even watch it anymore. Remember that.
It's just an idea. Well, that idea has threatened to kill me and many of my friends that are here today. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for bringing this to the forefront. And it's definitely making a big change. Really appreciate you.
Summoning.
Now we're going to look at Nick Sorter.
I heard from the Department of Homeland Security after I had gotten out of jail, and one of your, I won't say exactly who it was, but somebody very close to Secretary Noem over here said that they were legitimately worried for my safety in the Portland jail. But luckily, the Portland jail was, I was the only one there, essentially, because they don't actually arrest people in Portland, besides conservative journalists, I guess. So look, I'm glad that it was not a good night for me. Let's just say that. It was not fun sitting in that jail, but I'm glad to see what has come of it.
Straight up.
And I've been able to talk to a bunch of FBI agents, ATF agents, DHS agents that I didn't even know existed until I went there and went to that ICE facility. And the morale is at an all-time high. It is so exciting to see these guys know now that they have the backing of the Secretary, the DOJ, as well as the President of the United States, and they are there to do their job. They are going to fulfill this mission and deport these violent criminals. I believe one of the ones that I did a ride along with Secretary Noem yesterday, President Trump, and
so my thing about this whole immigration thing, and I think I'm really starting to come to it. So the Democrats are upset that Trump's going into like little small boroughs or towns or just neighborhoods. And when they go there, they'll be looking for one criminal, and then they'll end up with a bunch of other people who are undocumented who might not really should have been deported or arrested that day. They just happen to get caught up in the crossfire. Wouldn't they have a more of an argument if they did actually tell the government when they did encounter illegals who are criminals in their jail cells or judicial system? Wouldn't it be better if they just took those violent ones, pushed them off to the government, and then protected the ones who've been here maybe 20 years and have been working and have been contributing to the country? Wouldn't that be better than just coming out and saying, we're not going to work with the federal government and ICE at all. They're not allowed here. They're not talking to us. They're not communicating when they're going out on raids. Why would they communicate when they're going out on raids when you won't even tell them when you arrest someone who's undocumented and had committed a crime? Why would they communicate? Especially when you're saying you're going to protect them. Why would they communicate? They might as well just go do what they do and let you be upset because you're not helping. It's literally that simple. You guys say, well, he said he was going to go after violent criminals. Okay, well, if they're violent criminals, you should know because they should have been through your jail cell and they should have been through your court system. So you should have gave them up. And then we can sit here and have an honest conversation about what to do with the people who've been here for a really long time, who aren't terrible people, who just want to go to work, who didn't decide to go get their papers. Maybe we can have a different conversation then. But since they're saying they're not going to help, ICE isn't allowed here, ICE isn't allowed there, why are they upset when ICE comes into their city and doesn't explain to them what they're doing? They just go do it. They have no reason to be upset. Because if you're not going to take the ones who actually went to jail and give them up, then you have no reason to know what's going to happen. If you know anything about the government, top secret things or operations, it's need to know. And if you don't support it, then you don't need to know. That's how I see it. If you don't support them coming in and just, they could easily do that. And then if the Trump administration decided to go out to these neighborhoods and then decided to go after these people who've been here for a while and are good people and contribute and have kids and families and this. All right, now we can have a conversation. Now we can talk about, hey, Trump, you guys need to actually sit down, talk about what we're going to do with these people, because I do believe some of them do deserve to stay, but I am upset that they have been here this long and hasn't gone through the system. But at the same time, our system is so broken that even if they did go through the system, it wouldn't work. But that still does not give them an excuse to not have tried. And it doesn't give an excuse for the governors and the mayors of these sanctuary cities to not tell the police when they arrest someone for a violent crime or any crazy crime that decided to put them in jail, and then they're upset when they go into these neighborhoods. Like, you're not going to convince me that they actually want to help the administration. If they did, that's a simple fix. I'm going to help you with this, but with these other people, we need to have a conversation. That's fair. Because if you've been here 20 years and you haven't committed a crime and you've just been working, in my opinion, you probably should just stay at that point. You probably should. But since the local administration and the governments are not helping, they can't get upset when the Trump administration comes through and just says bye. We need to figure something out here.
There was a pedophile that had come into the country 5 times over.
That's my point. They didn't have a problem when Barack did it, so why is it a problem now? They say Barack gave people due process, but not necessarily. So they're saying there wasn't one person who got deported from Barack without due process. You guys can truly say that? No, you can't, because I bet there were some. And how they're saying it is one is too many. I care, international news group. I care if they come over here illegally. If they come over here illegally through a port of entry, or they decided to get their papers before or try and work things out with the government, then you're welcome here in America. I will call you an American if you do it the right way. But if you come over here illegally, you sneak through the border, or you're a gotaway, and they catch you and send you back, I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and care about. You don't deserve due process when you came in here illegally and committed a crime. You don't deserve it.
7 years. 7 years. And apparently under the Biden regime, that was just allowed to happen. That was fine. No problem. It's concerning to me that you're seeing the Portland Police Department, as well as the governor of Oregon and the mayor, of course, coming out and running defense for pedophiles that have entered the country illegally 5 times. It's crazy. I'm glad it's taking a front row seat in the media. And, they're being forced to talk about it in reality because, we're the ones that were on the ground. We're the ones that are actually reporting what's going on. Much of the legacy media has been either ignoring it or covering for Antifa for years now. So thank you guys so much for taking this seriously. And President Trump, you mentioned that flag. So remember, you put out a truth right after
That's right. I saw that.
Took this flag from that man that was burning it in the street.
Do you know who he is?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly who it is.
So why don't you give it to Pam? Give it to the Attorney General, and let's start prosecutions.
Yeah. I actually have a second flag that he tried to burn as well. So I have 2 of them from the same guy.
Well, you also saw what happened when that flag started burning. Everyone went crazy.
People got upset.
And that's when it started.
And that's what Trump was saying. He wasn't saying you don't have a right to burn the flag. If I wanted to go outside right now on my porch and burn the flag and say no context, I can do that. But to go out to where there's a bunch of people already upset, already prone to violence, and just burn the flag, that's not okay. I don't find that okay, because I saw that video. As soon as he burned the flag, people started rushing in, people started pushing, shoving, people screaming, be peaceful. They intended to cause something that someone didn't like, especially when they knew people were there that wouldn't like it, which could cause violence. But anyways, we're off the Antifa roundtable. Next story is going to be the Florida bill, HB 113. In the Florida House of Representatives, the bill was entitled An Act Relating to the Redesignation of State, University, and Florida College System and Institution Roads, requiring state, university, and Florida College System institution boards of trustees to redesignate specified roads or portions of roads to certain names relating to Charlie James Kirk within a specified time period after it gets passed. If it gets passed, it will require state funds to be withheld for any university or institution that fails to designate a road or portion of a roadway within such time period, providing an effective date. I think they said it was around 90 days or so. But right now, people are in outrage over that because a lot of people do hate Charlie Kirk. A lot of people didn't agree with this message. And a lot of people are upset with this, especially people of my color, black people who think he was racist, even though they can't sit there and actually have a debate of why he was racist, even though he wasn't. You can go and see many clips of him talking to black people. And I don't see him as racist. So we're going to look at race baiter, whatever his freaking name is, Roland Martin, sit here and be upset over this. Let's look.
Deranged white conservatives doing all they can to turn Charlie Kirk into a saint. Of course, he was shot and killed last month, speaking in Utah.
When you become a legal citizen, you take an oath to this country. And you also take an oath to defend this country.
Now in Florida, the Republican state rep wants every public university to rename certain campus roads after Kirk.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you what it does. First of all, big tech right now is run by a bunch of elitist people who all have...
All right, let's get it.
Yeah. Kevin Steele's bill would also withhold state funding from any university that does not comply within 90 days of the law's passage. Not happening just in Florida. Similar bills are popping up across the country as part of a wave of memorial efforts for Kirk. Yeah. Florida State Senator Shepard Jones joins us right now. I'm glad to have you on the show. This is just insane. This particular bill, what they want to do and say, oh, universities do not comply, we're going to pull funding. I'm sorry, Charlie Kirk is not worthy of a memorial on every public university campus in Florida or anywhere else in this country.
Yeah, I mean, that's your
anywhere
opinion,
else,
right? That's your opinion, okay?
Yeah, it is.
I think ultimately, at the end of the day, it's up for the people to decide, right? I'm sure there are people who had reasons to believe that MLK should not be honored the way that he's honored today, right? That, hey, maybe MLK isn't somebody that deserves to have a street named after him in every city in America, right? There are people who feel like that, right? But does that make their opinions valid? No. Not necessarily, right? At the end of the day, if the lawmakers in a state say, hey, we should do this, and the people are okay with it, right? Then, hey, it is what it is, right? I don't see anything wrong with it because to millions of people, Charlie Kirk was a civil rights activist. He fought for the rights of Christians. He fought for the rights of parents not to have their kids be exposed to gender ideology in schools, right? To be brainwashed in schools. He's fought on behalf of women, fighting for the right to not have to compete with biological men in sports. I mean, again, he's fought for things that people feel are legitimate issues to fight for.
Group.
And
if you have
because
any
of that,
clips or whatever,
I mean, a lot of people think he should be honored. His influence, certainly much more influential than Roland Martin is over the black community,
maybe
right?
if I get to know you,
his influence in the conservative movement, right? Charlie
know.
Kirk's influence in the conservative movement in this country, I mean, again, was big enough that I think it does warrant him being honored, right? Because regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with his political opinions, he went about expressing his political opinions in a non-violent way. He explicitly preached non-violence, okay? So
this is true. I'm gonna put this on the screen right here. DPA said media garbage distracts from what's happening behind what you're not made aware of behind the scenes or lines. And that's completely true. They try and throw up these distractions so we don't see what's really going on. We have a midterms coming up. This midterms is probably really going to affect the next 3 years that we're going to go through, or 2.5, because it'll be 3 years. It'll be 3 years after the midterms of what we're going to see going forward. But with that, let's get into our last story here. Again, send an email to Street News Network 16@gmail.com so I can see your clips. I'm going to type it in the chat for you guys can see. Network. All right. Last story here. We're going to get into some things about Donald Trump. Trade deals are not going good with China right now, which I never expected them to go good with China because China's a scum and China doesn't want the best for us. China wants to see us destroyed. And over the years, we have given more and more of our economic power to China and trying to have a good. Our economies are linked now, and that's a problem. And we need to distance ourselves from that, create our better own economy away from China with other countries because China wants to see the end of us. There's no reason why we should benefit them with our companies, our technology, if they want to see the end of us. But a lot of people in this country don't care because they don't care about America, and they just, I don't know. I just don't know why they don't care.
On China, the US president also threatening to call off a planned face-to-face meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Our Sky News Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen joins us live now. Annalise, what sparked this response from Donald Trump?
Well, Donald Trump's accused the Chinese president and the Chinese government of sending letters to countries around the world saying that they're going to be implementing export controls on rare earth minerals. And we can tell you just in the last few moments, Donald Trump has come through and confirmed.
I don't know if you know it about hydrogen bombs, but China is not the only one with a hydrogen bomb, my friend. Do you know exactly what a hydrogen bomb is before you comment?
His threat from earlier today saying that he is indeed going to implement new tariffs on China because of this move. And so on Truth Social just a short time ago, Donald Trump posted, based on the fact that China has taken this unprecedented position and speaking only for the USA and not other nations who were similarly threatened, starting November 1st, 2025, or sooner, depending on any further actions or changes taken by China, the United States of America will impose a tariff of 100%.
Like, if you're going to come in here and talk about anything military, at least you could say that Russia is leading the world in hypersonic missile technology, but we're like, it's like this, but Russia has more, but we just don't like to come out with ours. But ours are in general going to be better at the end of the day than Russia, because Russia is currently fighting a war which diverts resources, technology, lots of sanctions. Their military apparatus is definitely slowing down. When it comes to China, China does have on paper, China does have a bigger navy than us, but in terms of like things like submarines, we have more nuclear submarines, which are way better than diesel submarines because diesel have to come up for air. They don't mess with us at that point. China does have a bigger navy because they are surrounded by water, especially with their enemies. So they do have more smaller vessels to protect the mainland than us, but they're not better at aircraft carriers. Their destroyers are nowhere near ours. So yeah. If you want to talk about military stuff, let's talk about it and be correct, because I will correct you.
On China over and above any tariff that they are currently paying. Also on November 1st, we will impose export controls on any and all critical software. So while Donald Trump might have ended one war in the Middle East, he's now launching a fresh trade war. And we've already seen the ramifications of this on the stock market this morning, just with the threat of potentially tariffs coming through. I don't think it's a coincidence that this statement came through after the markets closed, but earlier.
Let's look at him answering some questions from reporters.
Election was a very important date. We had a good election, and that was important. But yeah, it was any country, no matter what country you're talking about, nobody's done numbers like that. So thank you all for being here. Do you want to have a couple of questions? Yeah, please.
Mr. President, one on this, if I could, and one on China, if I may. First on this, could you have brought these pharmaceutical companies to the table without that 100% tariff that you imposed?
Well, it's not 100%. You're talking about China might be 100%.
No, I'm talking about the 100% you imposed on pharmaceuticals for that sector.
I would never have been able to bring him. Now, I'm not sure that Pascal would like to say, but behind the scenes, he did say tariffs were a big reason he came here, and also the fact he loved Virginia. He liked this guy. He liked me. I think the November 5th election was a very important date. We had a good election, and that was important. But yeah, he's here. A lot of. I can speak for almost everybody that's here. Most of them are here because of tariffs, because you have to understand he has no tariffs. If you build in this country, there are no tariffs. So.
Let me ask you about China, if I could. Just want to confirm: have you canceled your meeting with President Xi? And
no, I haven't canceled, but I don't know that we're going to have it. But I'm going to be there regardless, so I would assume we might have it. But. They hit the world with something that really is not anything that.
If you're building a company, you need to be using RAMP. No one wants to be wasting time manually logging receipts.
People are going to do, and it was shocking. I can tell you, Howard and I and Todd, we all Scott, we were all speaking about it before, and we said, where did that come from? It was just. That was out of the blue, right? Out of the blue, they came up with this whole import-export concept, and nobody knew anything about it. So.
If they roll back their export controls, the new announcement, would you roll back?
Look, we're going to have to see what happens. That's why I made it November 1st. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Mr. President, the last time, Mr. President,
go ahead, please.
What else besides software could be on the table in terms of export controls?
A lot more. I mean, you have software, but you have a lot more. We have airplanes. We have airplane parts. You remember that from last time. We were just surprised at China. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and they did that. This is not something that I, instigated. This was just a response to something that they did. And they didn't really aim it at us. They aimed it at the whole world. The whole world is subject to it. So I thought it was very, very bad. But we have many things, including a big thing is airplane. They have a lot of Boeing planes, and they need parts and lots of things like that. Steve?
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to accept the Gaza deal, and what will be your message to the Knesset when you speak to them?
Well, he wanted it, I want to thank the countries that helped me put this together. Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard. This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents, because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways.
This will be our last.
It is unprecedented. But thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East. And we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
All right. For the last one, let's just go over some of these, the Donald Trump 20-point plan, and see what's going on. So it says Gaza will be de-radicalized terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. If both sides agree to this proposal, the war will end immediately. Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed upon line, which they are doing now when they agreed upon this first step, to prepare for hostage release, which is another stipulation for this first step. During this time, all the military operations, including aerial and arterial bombardment, will suspend, and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for the completed stage withdrawal. I hope that happens, because both sides like to just launch bombs at each other like they don't have civilians. Once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7, 2023. Why would they release 250 life sentence prisoners? What were they sentenced life for? If it was anything violent, they shouldn't be released. For every Israeli hostage who remains are released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans. Why the hell are you keeping deceased Gazans in the first place? That shouldn't be a stipulation unless you guys are just going tit for tat. Once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and decommission their weapons will be given amnesty, which is basically saying if they give up their weapons, they will not be killed or jailed. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. Upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent into Gaza Strip. At a minimum, aid quantities will be consistent with what was included in the January 19, 2025 agreement regarding humanitarian aid, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, water, electricity, and sewage, rehabilitation of hospitals and bakeries, and entry of necessary equipment to remove rubble upon roads. So in this point plan, they're saying basically Israel and the United States or whoever else will agree to help. They will agree to help rebuild. Entry of distribution and aid into Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations and its agencies and the Red Crescent. In addition to other international institutions and not associated in any manner with either party, opening the Rafah crossing in both directions will subject to the same mechanism implemented under January 19, 2025 agreement, which was broken. Both sides broke the agreement. I'm just going to read the first sentences of each. Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee. Who knows if that's true, because who decides who's on the committee? Is it the people of Palestine or is it another country? Is it United States? Is it Turkey? Is it the Jordanians? Who knows? Does Iran have a say in any of this? A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created. So with that, that's telling me that their apolitical Palestinian committee will just be an American proxy, which I don't know how that's going to resolve peace in the area, if I'm just being real. A special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. So that's saying that they're going to basically generate an area where both countries can come through, work together, send workers here, send workers there. I hope that does work out. That'll allow the people to actually live together. No one will be forced to leave Gaza. I really hope this sentence is true, because there are people on the far right side of the Israeli government who do want to see most people leave Gaza who aren't Israeli. They have come out. This is their own words. This isn't mine. I'm not making this up. People on the far right side of the government of Israel do not want to see people still there. Hamas and other factions agree to not have any role in the governments of Gaza. I really hope that's a fact, because Hamas should be eliminated, and they shouldn't even, if they want to drop their arms, that's fine, but they're not allowed. No. A guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and the factions comply with their obligations, that New Gaza poses no threat to its neighbors and its people, and that will just be demilitarization, kind of like how we did to the Germans back in the day. But instead of allowing them to build up their army again, we will stop it when they start. The United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force, ISF, to immediately deploy to Gaza. The ISF will train and provide support to vetted Palestinian police forces in Gaza and will consult with Jordan and Egypt. Yeah, I didn't mean to say Turkey. I really meant to say Egypt back then. Who have extensive experience in this field. This force will be long-term internal security. Will be the long-term internal security situation. Okay, so they're trying to establish a police force. That's the thing. They want to establish a proxy and their own police force. At the end of the day, the United States, Israel, and NATO are taking over this country. If Hamas doesn't agree, then they're going to be ethically cleansed. I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen. If Hamas does not agree to these terms, they will be ethnically cleansed. It's that simple. I'm not saying it should. I don't think that should happen, but ethnic cleansing will happen if they don't agree. It's almost like they have no choice, but they have to. You have to concede, and Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. Their proxies will. As the ISF establishes control and stability, the IDF will withdraw based on standards, milestones, and timeframes linked to demilitarization that will be agreed upon between the IDF, ISF, the guarantors, and the United States. So, like I just said, the rules are going to be set upon by the IDF. Apparently, now this ISF in the United States. When you lose a war, you don't get to decide. Like I've been saying on this channel from the start, history is written by the victor. Unfortunately. Sometimes the losers have a say in things that should go on. And I really hope that this gives Donald Trump a great opportunity because of what happened in Afghanistan and how he set plans for the conditions of withdrawal. That didn't happen under the Biden administration, and they still withdrew instead of keeping our troops there to combat what we said needed to happen. Because of that, 13 service members of the United States got killed. I'll never forget. I'll bring it up any chance I can. In the event Hamas delays or rejects the proposal, the above, including the scaled aid operation, will proceed in the terror-free areas handed over from IDF to the ISF. Let's read that again. In the event Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above, including the scaled-up aid operation, will proceed in terror. Okay, so they're saying that if they don't agree, then you're not going to get the stuff that we just proposed, and we'll just do it in the areas that we already control. Simple. Like I said, history is written by the victor. An interfaith dialogue process will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence to try and change mindsets and narratives of Palestinians and Israelis by emphasizing the benefits that could be derived from peace. So that's basically trying to change the ideology of the people in the area. Again, if this doesn't happen, then I promise you that it's not going to go as planned. Because history is written by the victor, and the victor is the Israelis because the Israelis have the power in this situation. Just like when we go look at Ukraine and Russia, if the war were to end today, Russia would be the victor. An interfaith dialogue process will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence to try and change mindsets and narratives of Palestinians and Israelis by emphasizing the ability of peace. Sorry. While Gaza redeployment advances and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we can recognize in the aspiration of the Palestinian people, which I again believes if they don't agree to all these terms that Israeli, Egypt, and the United States are going, then they will not have their own state. That's what I read from that. You could disagree, you might not be happy, but that's what they're proposing, and that's what they're going to have to accept. Because again, history is written by the victor. The United States will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on political horizon for peaceful and a prosperous coexistence. I hope it's bipartisan. I hope they both come together and see what they want. But in the end, unless Hamas is gone and the ideology is changed in the area, more attacks don't happen, then I think the Americans will agree to this 20-point plan. But if this doesn't happen, expect war until all the people of Gaza are gone, because I believe that's what's going to happen if that doesn't happen. Expect war in Gaza until all the people there are gone, or anyone there who they deem with a bad ideology and wants to see Israel gone, which there's a lot of people there who do, but I'm just saying, I'm making a point. But with that, thank you guys for coming out to another episode of Street News Network. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back tomorrow with more information and another story. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really, really does help the channel. It pushes things out. Please email streetnewsnetwork16@gmail.com so I can feature your clips or your opinions on things on the channel and in stream. If I do deem it to be something really, really important, I will have you on stream with me and we can talk about it for that small section. Again, thank you. Thank you very much for coming out to Street News Network. Hope you guys have a good night or a good morning, wherever you are. See you guys.